I'll be showing you how to get OP by fighting monsters you aren't even supposed to fight yet in the story and crafting their gear in the first area of the game, aka the Windward Plains. And this can all be done between Hunter Rank 1 and Hunter Rank 2. Let's get right into this so you can reach a high defense and have extremely powerful weapons. After completing Village of the Whispering Winds, which is the main mission where you have to hunt down a Quaimantris, you'll defeat it, go to the village, finish up some stuff, and then you'll be able to start the mission chapter 1-3 to the forest. This is the moment of the game when you're able to finally be able to free roam around the Windward Plains and be able to do whatever you want. Now, the first step that we're going to do in order to get OP is you're going to actually equip the iron armor that you already have in the game. The game gave it to you for free. The reason why you're going to do this is because your iron armor head, your chest, and your arm pieces together are going to give you the Geologist skill level 3, which is going to give you an extra item when we pick up some bones, which we're going to be doing. So equip this as a loadout for easier access in the future. Once you have that done, we're going to head out from the main camp over to area 9 in this location. And if you follow this pathway, you'll eventually will arrive over here and find 2 bone piles that you could go ahead and collect from. You'll notice that you're getting mystery bones and sturdy bones. Also, don't forget to mine that ore while you're here. If you didn't get a specific type of bone here, right over by this area in area 10, you will find even more bones. So you can go ahead and take those bones as well. Bones will be extremely important for crafting our bone weapons and will be used for a later armor piece. Now, you're going to need 2 mystery bones for crafting any weapon of your choice in the bone skill tree. Since the game gives you the choice of 2 weapons, I suggest having 4 mystery bones to make both of them. Once you've collected all your bones, you can head back to the camp and officially craft your weapons from Gemma from the bone tree, which you'll notice actually has a lot better attack than the previous weapon you may have had from the expedition tree, or if you crafted a Quaimantris weapon after that fight with it. With your bone weapon intact, you'll now want to head right back out into the Windward Plains, open up your map, and locate any Balahara that you can find, which is this symbol right over here. Keep in mind, when you start attacking a Balahara, you won't get an official hunt to start for them. In fact, you'll see a notification that you're not even allowed to hunt for them yet. So you won't be getting any target rewards for killing them, but we're gonna have to take out one of them. For this fight, you're gonna want to make sure to avoid anything that it spits out at you, avoid any of its tail whacks, and the dives it comes at you with. If you get a chance to mount it, you're going to want to do that. Your main focus here is to deal enough damage, get focus strikes, and you want to go ahead and break the skull. The 2 main items is the Balahara shell and the Balahara skull. Once you get those items after you defeat them, you'll be able to craft the Balahara greaves that gives you 12 defense and also the skill evade extender level 1, which will allow you to extend your evade. If you happen to have gotten an aqua sac from the Balahara upon defeating it, this will be later used for a weapon, but we'll talk about that when we reach that point. Next on the list is being able to take down an enemy that is further in the main story, but it was actually accessible during your Quaimantris hunt. But if you missed it during the Quaimantris hunt, don't worry, we just have to talk to Alma and start the optional quest. So talk to Alma, press post join quest, and then select optional quests, and from there you'll see the quest that says fire starter that you need to select. Once you've eaten all your food and prepared for this hunt, you'll make your way to this spot on the map, and we're actually not going after the Quaimantris. In fact, we'll be going after a mystery monster. It's actually the Doshaguma, which is funny because we're using the Quaimantris fight to fight him. And this is the only way you can fight a Doshaguma this early, and is nowhere near as difficult as the alpha one that you'll fight later on. The reason why we're hunting down this Doshaguma is because it has gear that is 18 in defense, which is really high. So still be careful because this monster is going to hit very hard. If you're fighting up close, pay attention to all its wind-up attacks. It gives very clear indicators of when it's going to do that, as well as moving its little front paw when it tries to do a swipe. If you're having a hard time fighting this monster, that's the whole point of this video. You don't need to sweat too much when you're doing it, because you could use the environment to your advantage completely when fighting this. Right in the area where you begin the fight, if you open up your map or look around, you'll find that there are 3 paratoads there. And exactly what paratoads do is when you activate them, them, they will make an electric barrier field around them that causes paralysis to the monster or yourself if you get caught up in it. But the goal is to get the Doshaguma in one. You can access it by touching it with circle, or you can use your slinger to activate one as the Doshaguma gets close, and then you can start to do tons of damage during this paralysis phase. Not only that, but when you move from this specific area, you can also pay attention to trees, which will drop the tree vine trap on the floor. So when Doshaguma steps on it, he'll get completely caught up in it, and you can deal damage during that. Not only can you use that to your advantage, but since this is a Quay Mantras quest, the Quay Mantras is right by the Doshaguma, so when they interact with each other, they will end up in a turf war, which gives you more open frames to keep attacking this Doshaguma. Just make sure that you're always entering your focus mode so that you can see the wounds that are lit up on its body, and make sure that you are consistently focus striking them when they show up. The most common materials that will be dropping from this are the Doshaguma's fur and the Doshaguma's hide. Now, if you focus on doing a ton of damage to the right foreleg and the left foreleg, they will be able to drop the Doshaguma claws. As you continue to get through this hunt, you'll eventually see the skeleton icon on the map, which means it's time to wrap up this fight. So you can continue till you murder it, or you can end it with a capture by using a shock trap and tranking it, which will end the fight a lot faster. And a quick way to have the items to capture monsters to make this a lot more efficient is by just talking to the Palico at the base camp and collecting your open beta test 1 and 2 rewards. They should have trank bombs, shock traps, and regular traps there to help you. There's no difference in the rewards on the carve or on the capture. On the carve, you'll see the 3 rewards as you carve, and on the capture, the 3 rewards will immediately appear on the right side of the screen. The goal that you have during this time is for the Doshaguma Fang to specifically drop, and this is a 20% chance for this to happen, so just keep this in mind. Now, in order to craft a Doshaguma weapon, just make sure that you have 3 fur, 2 claws, and 1 fang from this fight. If your weapon class is the Great Sword, Long Sword, Dual Blades, Hunting Horn, Lance, Switch Axe, Light Bowgun, or Bow, you can easily create this Doshaguma weapon since you already created the Bone Weapon, which was the prerequisite in the skill tree, and now you're going to have a lot more powerful weapons. If you happen to use the Lance, you have to create the Quay Mantras weapon first, then the Doshaguma weapon afterwards. And if you use the Light Bowgun, you just have to have crafted the Hope Rifle 2 in order to then craft the Doshaguma weapon right after that. If you're using the Heavy Bowgun or the Charged Blade weapon, you can neither get a Doshaguma weapon or the Balahara weapon. However, the Bone weapon should suffice enough, but if you want something with a little more oomph, you could use the Chadacabra weapon. If you use the weapons Sword and Shield, Gun Lance, Insect Glaive, you won't be able to craft the Doshaguma weapon, but not all is bad because you can also still craft a Rarity 2 weapon by crafting the Balahara weapon, which is going to use 3 skills, 1 skull, and if you got lucky when you fought the Balahara, 1 Aqua Sac. If you didn't get one, you could go ahead and fight it again and get that. This will give you the Rarity 2 weapon with a water element, affinity, and increased sharpness. Now that you have the weapons, you should be able to go ahead and talk to Alma and then select the optional quest and go back and fight the Doshaguma again and keep defeating it a couple of times. Makes you a better hunter and you get better gear. Now for the head, you're going to need 2 fur, 2 hide, 1 fang, and a herbivore shell, which is dropped by the Ceratonaths that are all over the map. Those poor innocent monsters dying to you for no reason. And they also give you meat, so it's a good thing to get. For the mail or the chest, you're going to just need 2 fur and 1 claw. This is the easiest one to get because you don't have to rely too much on the RNG of the fang dropping. The braces are going to be 2 hide and 1 fang, and the coil is going to be 1 claw, 2 fang, and 1 sturdy bone, which you already farmed by doing the whole entire bone farming that I told you about in the beginning of this video. But I have to explain why this is exactly OP. You're going to have defense sitting at around 97, and this is without even upgrading the armor with armor spheres, which will happen a little bit later on. Not only that, but the set, wearing 4 pieces, comes with the set bonus skill known as Powerhouse 2, which gives you attack plus 25 after a successful power clash or an offset attack. That is extremely huge. Not only that, you get a group skill called Fortifying Pelt, which is going to increase your attack and defense after fainting during a quest, and it can be used twice. This means you pretty much get carded or you die during the fight. You come back and you're even stronger. If you don't believe me, look at my attack after this first knockout, and then look at my attack after the second time I got knocked out. Now, not only that, but with this armor set, you're sitting with also something known as Free Meal Level 2, which gives you a predetermined chance of consuming a food or drink for completely free. If you take a look at this, I'm eating a piece of well-cooked steak, and here we go. It goes from 5 to 4, but when I eat my fourth one, it doesn't go down to 3. You can see the skill activate and kick in, giving me a free meal. This is going to be extremely huge during your hunts with tons of different monsters, because you won't be consuming all your goodies and you could prolong the battle and your equipment and your stuff you have in your inventory. Not only that, but you do get recovery speed level 1, which will double the speed at which you heal recoverable damage. That's big, as well as item prolonger level 1, which items that you consume will now have a plus 10% in effect duration. With all these goods, you're now ready to move on to the Scarlet Forest, but you should probably subscribe and also check out this video on your screen right over here.